we're very thankful for that. Thankful she was at home, and thankful that she was at rest. And even today, she's at rest, being at Jesus' feet. Many people have asked tonight, how you doing, how you doing, how you doing? And it's like, well, there's a hole in our life, and we're sad, but we're happy for her. And what better day than to go to sleep and wake up and see Jesus face to face, you know? So wouldn't ask her back for anything. As much as she loves all of us and her family, she wouldn't come back either, even if she could. So we're thankful that she's with the Lord today on that. A couple of things about her recent events. As most of y'all know, she was 86. She turned 86 in February of this year. Last year, she turned 85. Up until that point, she had been really, really healthy. She had one little stint with breast cancer many years ago, but she survived that. And she was doing well. She was moving and mobile and driving and laughing and loving life. But after her 85th birthday last year, her health kind of deteriorated quickly. She went to AFib, and she went to 2 or 3 UTIs over the course of the year. She went through brain tumor. Nancy tried to call her one morning and couldn't reach her, and Sherry and I were at the gym, and she called and said, I can't get Mom. So we took off and got there, and she was having a seizure. We didn't know what was happening. She was in a state of, having a seizure, so I didn't know. I'd never seen that before. And so I think you had called 911 already. And so I just knelt down at her feet there and at her knees, and I told her she was a great mom, and that I thought she was dying, honestly. I told her she was a great mom, and his dad loved her, and Nancy loved her, I loved her, and all the grandkids loved her, and that go be with Jesus if that's what he wanted, and if not, he would heal her from that as well. But it's interesting, Sherry was there with me, and as soon as I said the name Jesus, she calmed down. And I don't know if it just happened to be a coincidence with the seizure, or if it was the power of the name of Jesus Christ, but it was a blessing to see her calm down at that point in time. So we're very, very thankful for that. Mama got her first helicopter ride last year. She, one of the times, I've been that time, we took her to Statesboro, the ambulance took her to Statesboro, and they diagnosed her with a brain tumor and got her on the chopper and flew her, so that was a new adventure for her as well. Not sure she ever remembered it. We have pictures to prove it, but the brain surgery went well. One of the pictures on the video shows Mom, I think day of, that evening after brain surgery, taking Tylenol, and on her tablet or her phone, updating friends on Facebook. So she came through it like a champ and was really doing well. We were amazed actually to see how well she did. She actually owns stock now after last year. She owns stock in 4 hospitals, Statesboro, St. Joe, Candler, and Memorial, and then one of the Heritage Health Center in Statesboro as well. So, as y'all know, Mom was a very detailed person, so I counted it out. She lived 86 years, 2 months, and 14 days. And if you really want to get detailed like Mama was, it was 31,485 days she was on this earth as a child and as a bride, and then as a mom, a wife, and then a mom and a grandmother. Mama came from a big family. Grandma had 11 kids in 16 years, so Mama was used to lots of people around. So Nancy and I tried to do our best to give her as many outings, see the families we could, and kids and grandkids along the way as well. If you also know Mom, you know she loves technology. On the house, somebody her age, she just loves technology. I've got friends much younger than Mom that said they're analog. They don't do things on technology. But Mama loved it. She was always in it. I listened to some of the apps. She used Facebook. She loves QPublic, that site you can go look at land records and tax records. She loved doing that stuff. I mentioned, I met so-and-so at the gym today. And that night, I get home and she'd say, yeah, he was over on so-and-so, and him and his wife got 4 acres of land and all this stuff. And she was a data hound. She could look up stuff. Nancy and I use it all the time. We'd call her up and she would just look up things all the time. So she loved YouTube. She loved the Oak Ridge Boys. She loved Oak Ridge Boys. And if you read the obituary, you saw that too, that for a while there, Nancy and I thought we were kin to them, but Mama knew them so well, she would talk to us on first name basis. And it's like, Mom, who is that? Well, that's so-and-so's son or grandson. And so we just thought we might be related to them. I didn't know. So she did all of her banking online, paid her bills online, ordered meds online. I had a motorcycle app. Y'all know I ride motorcycles a lot, and so I had an app. She joined that. She joined a biker app just so she could follow me and keep up with where I was. And she also used Google Maps to follow me and Nancy. She was not afraid of technology at all. And then one day, during my professional life, I got a friend request on LinkedIn, which is like a professional social media thing. It was from my mom. So she joined LinkedIn just to keep an eye on my career, I guess. But anyway, she loved that kind of stuff. She really did. Her and Dad had many good years together over on Page Road and farming, and Daddy loved to garden, as y'all know. And The old saying is, don't plant more garden than your wife can hoe. That didn't really apply here, but it's like, don't plant more garden than your wife and family can put up, because we had some days working out there. I know Taylor and James and my kids all helped over time shucking corn and silking corn and putting it up. There was a lot of good times there on the place, a lot of good family times together. I know when I spoke at Daddy's funeral back in 2015, I told him, I said, Nancy and I thought growing up, the Labor Day was a time for labor. Because that's when the gardening was coming in. We were always working. We didn't know it was a vacation. You're supposed to be at the lake or the beach or something. Others, we thought it was a time for working. But anyway, we loved it. I don't know how many times we come home at night and the front porch would be piled up with peas or butter beans. No, we had to shell that night. We'd sit in the living room and shell butter beans. I was thinking on Mama's life, and I just wanted to share a few stories with her. I know we all have different stories if you knew her as a friend or a coworker or a grandma or a mother or whatever, but there's a few that come to mind to me that were just kind of funny to me. We lived in Savannah. We had a little small farm there outside of Savannah, and we had a cow that took sick, and the cow was up on she couldn't support herself on the back legs, and so they had her up on a sling hung from the top of the barn and rafter there. And Mom and I'd go out in the morning to feed her and take care of her before I'd go to school and Mom would go to work. And it was cold. I remember it was cold. Mama had one of those little Nazi hats on to come down over her ears, trying to stay warm. And I was a young teenager, I guess, at the time, and I just didn't want any part of that cow and any part of all that work before school. And I made the comment, I said, I wish this cow would just die. When I said that, I saw a different side of my mama. The animal lover, the farm girl, came out, and she dropped what she had in her hand, and I was probably 10 or 15 feet from her. She come marched over towards me. I could tell she had determination in her eyes. It kind of scared me. She walked over there, and she did this right here, and I thought she was going to slap me, so I kind of put my guard up like this, and then she went, with a fist, punched me right in the gut. And it surprised me. And I started laughing, and she started laughing, but she was so angry about that comment. So I kept my mouth shut about anything sick, especially with an animal, after that. I remember when I was got one of my first motorcycles. It was a summer. We lived over on Bill Futch Road, and I had to go to Country Market over here, a little grocery store. But Mama had to go to Country Market. She walked out in the yard, and I was polishing the bike or something, and I said, I got to go to Country Market. I said, hop on the back of the bike, I'll take you. She said, I said, come on, I'll take you over there. She had on like shorts or whatever. I said, come on, I'll take you. She said, all right. I got on the back of it. And if you live around here, if you know where Judge Drexel used to live, there's a little curve right there. And I knew in those days that 60 miles an hour was the perfect speed for that curve. It just flows. It really did. It was just perfect. But I also knew I had my mom on the back. I thought, she ain't going to like that. So I slowed down to 55. And I'm going through the curve, to 55, and all of a sudden I feel on my back. She beat me on the back, and she put her hand at the back of my helmet, and she says, I'm going to beat your tail when I get you to the house. So I figured, for my own safety, I should keep riding. One time I got her good. Y'all all know Mama. She was a sweet lady. She really was. She wasn't perfect. None of us are, but she was a sweet lady. Daddy had a procedure at Memorial Hospital up at Donald, Aunt Leola, and Nancy, and several of us all over there. And Daddy was in recovery. And Mama had to use the restroom. There's a little restroom off to the side there, so she made her way in there. And I always had a bad joke about going up the doors, especially bathrooms, and making it. I'd say, housekeeping. So I waited till she got settled. I went, housekeeping. And her sweet voice, like y'all all know, she goes, just a minute. So I waited 10 seconds. Housekeeping. It wasn't the same voice. She said, just a minute. I waited about 10 more seconds. Housekeeping. And this different woman was in the bathroom. She said, I said just a minute. And then she opened the door to come out in a few moments, and we're all standing there looking at her. She realized I'd gotten it. It was so funny. Oh, we laughed so much with her. Mama loved to laugh. Her family growing up laughed, I guess, and we just laughed so much together. One time we were on family vacation. I remember up in North Carolina,